Terraria has its fair share of interesting weapons. In a lot of cases, the more extreme and over the top these appear on the surface usually correlates the amount of damage it can dish out. Today, we're going to be looking at quite an intense weapon that absolutely has the performance to back up its crazy firing style. Of course, I'm talking about the Stellar Tune. The first thing I want to say about this weapon is how much I wish I knew about it earlier. The Empress of Light in general is a boss I usually disregard in my playthroughs, but after seeing just what this weapon can bring to the mage class, I might even be tempted to go out my way and get it. Before we jump into it, if you enjoy these weapon reviews, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Alright, let's take a look at the best way to get this thing. As mentioned, the Stellar Tune is obtained from the Empress of Light. For me and many of you, defeating this boss isn't the easiest task, which is why I usually give it a miss till post Moonlord. However, if you really want to get the most out of this weapon, you really should aim for a pre-Golem defeat. To summon her, you'll need to head to your surface hallowed biome at night between 7:30 PM and 12 AM, and be on the lookout for a rare critter called the Prismatic Lacewing. To increase your chances of finding them, don't forget to place down a water candle and drink a battle potion. I really had no trouble coming across them in only a few minutes, and if you don't want to fight her right now, you can catch the critter to release later. Alright then, let's begin the fight. If you're looking at defeating her pre-Golem and at the mage class, I'd recommend two things: the Razorpine obtained from the Frost Moon as your primary weapon, and the Shrimpy Truffle mount from Duke Fishron for your mobility. Oh, and for me to actually be able to do this, I had to wait for it to rain to give my mount the permanent speed boost, because I absolutely suck at dodging Empress's attacks. However you do it though, as long as it works, there's no right or wrong, and hopefully you'll have her defeated in no time. But it's not over yet, as the biggest catch of the Stellar Tune is its abysmal 5% drop rate. It took me another 7 fights to have it drop, so let's see if it's worth all the grind. Like the Magical Harp, the Stellar Tune is a music instrument weapon, playing acoustic guitar chords when used. The star-shaped projectiles fired travel in a wave-like pattern towards the cursor, homing onto enemies, passing through blocks, and exploding on impact. These are fired at a rapid speed and already can result in some impressive DPS on single targets, thanks to releasing small AoE explosions that can also be controlled by the player's cursor. Here you can see it dealing a ton of damage to this line of dummies just from the explosions alone. Against enemies, there really isn't much to say here, because, well, they're already dead. For pre-Golem progression, the damage this thing deals is simply out of this world, and the infinite piercing of the explosions means you can take out a stack of biome mimics on top of each other, no problem. So, we know it can do regular enemies just fine, so what about bosses? Assuming you have been able to get your hands on it pre-Golem, let's just say you won't be pre-Golem for long, as even for how weak this boss is, the Stellar Tune managed to take it out in about 20 seconds. Okay, let's put it against something more its tier, the Cultist. I have to be honest, it didn't kill it as quick as I expected, but was still very usable. I think what slowed it down during this fight is just the speed and distance of the Cultist, sometimes making it quite difficult to hit. I'm sure someone with perfect positioning and aim will be able to take it out in a fraction of the time. Oh, and if you want to go all the way to the Moonlord with this thing, you absolutely can. The Stellar Tune is an absolutely fantastic killer weapon, as the homing prioritizes the closest entity, keeping you safe from the deadliest damage sources. Not bad for a pre-Golem weapon. And if you really want to get your value for money, you can technically even use it to defeat the Empress of Light in daytime to get your Terra Prisma. And while there are far better weapons for this strategy, after 3 or 4 attempts, I was actually able to do it just by firing it on a wild-length minecart track. If all of this still isn't enough to convince you, don't forget about its musical making abilities. With only 3 chords, I managed to put together something that sounded rather nice. So, the Stellar Tune has really surprised me. Not only is it one of the coolest looking weapons in the game, but it's also one of the highest damaging for the mage class. As I said before, I really wish I knew about it earlier, as I absolutely want to use it in my next playthrough. What do you think? Is the Stellar Tune worth the grind, or would you still give it a miss? Thanks for watching. For more Terraria content like this, drop a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.